We really appreciate you jumping on board. Our agenda is pretty much well set out. We have a very special guest with us today on the phone with us to share some of the NADA recommendations and the status of the industry. Our very own dealer principal and chairman of the NADA, Rhett Reichert. Then we'll cover a recap of the industry in the Central region as we see it in fixed operations. And then we're going to jump into the face of the dealership and really move forward towards a digital retail environment for what we're seeing in the marketplace. And that is moving the website to a true digital storefront or face of the dealership, while, of course, implementing social distancing practices while maximizing revenue. And then we'll have a Q&A session as well. But without further ado, let me introduce to you Rhett Reichert. He's the NADA chairman again, as I mentioned, and our very own dealer principal of Reichert Kia in Columbus, Ohio. Good morning, Rhett, and I want to really thank you and appreciate the time you're taking to spend with us on this morning's call to talk about fixed operations and what you're seeing with the NADA.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much, and hello to all my fellow dealers out there. You know, this is a pretty challenging time for us. We know what's going on. You know, we went through 2009 together. We've been through recessions, oil embargoes, you name it. You know, we know how to handle the type of situations. The problem is that, you know, there's a lot of sales that's off 70 or 80%, and some states, the governors are flexing the muscle and making it very difficult for us to operate. But we're gonna be all right. I told everybody in my address in Las Vegas, I said, you know, we're gonna face corruption, obstruction, and disruption, and this is one hell of a disruption, let me tell you. And but we're gonna survive this thing, and we're gonna make it work. The NADA's been advocating, you know, we've been educating, and we're going to communicate. In fact, I told Peter Welch, our CEO, and our whole staff, our responsibility in these times is to over-communicate. Because what the NADA does best in times of chaos is we run towards the chaos. We do not, as they say in martial arts, you either fight or flight, and the NADA is there to fight. We're going to fight for you.
Sorry about that. There we go. Go ahead, Rhett. Sorry.
Okay. We have programs that we have. The Lifeline series is on every day at 1 o'clock. We have different subjects for the dealers to listen to, as well as NADA.org/coronavirus that we update that every minute of the day. So you don't have to listen to a bunch of emails and be searching all over the place trying to find the information. You can just go there and you'll get about everything you need. I strongly suggest listen to your counselors and your CPA firms too for that. But we have classes that are available. There's over 500 classes as an NADA member you can pull up and use. And these classes range from about anything you could ever imagine to run in your dealership. And it's good for yourself as well as some of your management staff. You know, fraud protection, facilities, business development, analytics. There's over 29 classes just on analytics. Business strategy, man, there's over 200 classes in that. So I strongly suggest you take advantage of that. I know everybody wants to know about the PPP, and I know I'm talking fast this morning, but I've got another one 11:30 here this morning. You know, that was a midnight hour job. That was taken by a lot of hard work by the NADA staff. I got to tell you, I'm so proud of them. I came in here 6 years ago, and I thought the NADA was powerful. I had no idea how powerful we were. That obviously many of you are going to take advantage of that. But let me assure you that we're only in the second inning of a 9-inning ball game. There's a lot more things that are going to be coming down the line. These things don't take care of themselves overnight. The NADA, we're in there every moment of every day, you know, fighting for the dealers and making sure we get a fair shake throughout. The ability for dealers currently to deal with their employees and personnel. If you go on to NADA.org, it shows the best practices. It's by our Driven Guide, which explains to you, from our standpoint, how to safely take care of your employees. But I think every dealer is doing a pretty darn good job of that anyhow. We're community-minded. We take care of our community. We take care of our customers. We take care of our employees. We do all those things. But we're in there right now, and I know everyone's kind of sitting back kind of wondering about all these provisions of the SBA, how the interpretation is going to be. And everything's changing every minute, but just go to the NADA.org/coronavirus and we're staying right on top of this thing with you, as I said before, every day. Online sales are exploding across the country. Online, just like we're telephonically right now. People are using digital, and they're trying to keep digital business to be able to stay. They're also doing pickup and deliveries. That seems to be a huge thing across the thing, online service, et cetera, et cetera. But the other big issues that we have the OEMs, and they're going to have to get their factories fired back up at some point in time and get us inventory as the demand picks back up. And that's for the people at Kia and all the rest of our OEM friends to figure out and work with us, because I don't think our OEMs, well, I do know this. I do know our OEMs are realizing how important the dealer distribution model really is. These times they're having conversations with you now on the phone here to help each other, because we know how important we are to each other. So through every crisis and chaos, there's always opportunity. And I said in Las Vegas, the most important letters of opportunity are the last few, UNITY. And we've got to stick together, and we're going to get through this thing, and nothing lasts forever. And NADA, you don't have to look up in the sky. We're there. We're always there. We're like a satellite. We're keeping out for the dealer's best interest every single time, every day of the week. And pretty much wraps it up in a quick fashion for you. Is there anything else?
No, Rhett, I want to thank you again for the opportunity. We're going to do a Q&A session later as we go through our webinar. Anything that comes up, I'll throw it towards you, and we'll respond back to the group as you see fit. So I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll follow up to make sure that all the questions are answered. And again, we really appreciate taking the time, and really look forward to some improvements in the industry, and hopefully we'll be all better off for it, and the evolution will continue. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and I thank you very much. I do have to, at 10:30, I have another webinar that I'm on. But if you can get a few questions before then, I'd really appreciate it, because I don't think I'll be able to make two calls at the same time.
Nope, no problem. We'll do. We'll get that. So moving on, if there are any questions, if you could text them over to Jack Sparling or email them over to Steve Rupert. The numbers are up on the screen. Jack is for texting 630-945-5895, or email any questions to Steve Rupert. SRUPERT@KiaUSA.com, and then we can start with that, and we'll continue as we go down the line. And again, thank you very much. So here's kind of the state of the region for fixed operations right now, and I'm giving it to you in a snapshot from the beginning of March to the end of March through the first 13 days of April. Our customer pay repair order counts for March compared to last year, we were down 19%. Our customer pay revenue was down 12%. And this is live data from your repair orders that we extract from the system to give you an overall view of the central region. For April 2020 versus April of 2019, for the first 13 days, our repair order traffic is down 53%, which is very dramatic. And then the customer pay revenue is down 43%. The good news that we're seeing is our average repair orders are up. Both March was up 9% and our average RO up 20% for April for the first 13 days. So spending time with the customer, we are seeing few of them, we're spending more time with them with the amount of people that you do have at the stores. We're seeing that the RO averages are increasing. For dealership operations, we have 58% that have remained open in the region out of the 177 stores that we have, with no change in hours of operation. And I'm not talking about staffing, I'm just talking about literally hours of operation. We have 36% of the region offering limited hours of operation, where you cut back Saturdays and you cut back during the day. Again, not mentioning staffing, because there are quite a few furloughs that occurred as well. And then in the region, and most of these are in the state of Michigan, we have 6% of the region stores that are closed in service parts, 11 stores altogether. So again, kind of a state of the region. So we know, based on everything that we've been seeing in the last really month, because we're coming up on the month since a lot of people were impacted the most by this pandemic. Right now, we're leapfrogging to the future, and as Rhett mentioned, the digital online retail environment for both sales and service, it's today. We're all moving quick. Everybody's moving quickly to this environment. A lot of dealer websites, everyone's offering dropping off vehicles, seeing the vehicle, doing a digital a walk around on the vehicle. But your website is the first and everlasting impression of the dealership. And that's what we want to convey today is the importance of your website, not only just from a sales standpoint, but from fixed operations. You must promote cleanliness and safety of both the employees and the consumers to any consumer or anybody that's hitting your website. You must have a frictionless process. And what that means more or less is that we've got to provide the consumer with a way to have an experience with your dealership that has no friction built into it at all. So everything has to be customer centric. We have proven data that if you spend time with the customer, they will spend more. Again, we just showed you that our March and April RO averages are up because we're spending more time with the customer. Even with limited staffing, we're seeing an increase in that RO average. Dealership service centers need to provide and promote touchless transactions. I'm sorry about that.
Morning, Kia Service.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Apologize. Going to mute everybody again. Apologize for that. Good way to transition. And then going into the touchless transactions, whether you have the digital Go Moto, you have to provide the customer with a way to pay and provide all of it, whether it's electronic MPI, the scheduling process. It all has to be a touchless transaction. And then the next thing is nurturing of the leads. Even a scheduled service appointment should be considered a lead, whether that is a past experience that the customer had with your store and you do follow-up, getting into tapping into existing customer base and creating a reason to use or reuse the dealership. You've got to develop something to get customers to want to use you in the dealership. You must have a value proposition. You must promote safety. You have to promote safety while you're talking about the value of every purchase. That's got to be in the customer's mindset because the majority of every consumer is at home. What's going to create the need to want to take a car that they're not traveling in and come visit you for service? We got to think about that. And what do you do differently than our competition? Pick up a delivery, alternate transportation, things that minimize that face-to-face interaction with the customer, as Rhett mentioned earlier. The consumer, and this is absolutely, is going to determine our evolution because we are in an evolution now. So we have to maintain that revenue stream, but the customers are the ones that are going to determine the evolution of how we proceed. The more successful we are, the more revenue we're going to make with it. So here's kind of what's happening right now with customers. I was fortunate enough to sit through a webinar with Experian, and Experian has a media usage index. So, and that's for the four major generations. They have Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers. And you can see that the majority of everybody is somewhere in the ballpark of using their television, they're using the smartphone, desktop, laptop, tablet, computer, radio, video games, and newspapers. So what specific services are they using when they're using these digital media? You have Facebook, Netflix, video games, cable TV, Amazon Prime, Instagram, YouTube, and you can see by generation what the consumers are doing. And I particularly wanted to point out, more importantly, is that the use of media has grown substantially, obviously, which you would expect in this day and age, between all of the generations, including all the way to baby boomers, and that was a 25-point index on usage of the media. So it's interesting to see the growth, but the Gen Z has the largest increase, which you would thought they've already had that, but again, with a 54-point jump just in media usage. So what are customers spending their money on? And again, another important piece of data that we got from Experian is how do we get in that consideration for spending when no one is traveling, right? So Experian has done surveys, and this is a recent survey, March 27th to April 23rd. For the next 6 months, how are customers going to be spending their money? they're going to see a 44% increase in groceries, 28% in home entertainment, a 24% in restaurants and takeout food, which is what you would expect. Home goods is going to increase 19%, but you're also seeing a decrease of 48%. So you can see where customers are going to spend their money. Our opportunity is to get into that spending consideration. Again, that's the important part of what we need to do to keep that revenue stream going. So how do we do it? And again, I'm going to send out this little reminder is if you have any questions as we go through this next section, please text them to Jack Sparling or email them to Steve Rupert. So this is our first webinar, and the first webinar is your dealership website and your mobile site, that's just as important, and moving from a reservation system to the face of the dealership and really becoming a real digital retail tool for consumers. You know, as much as we've been doing research, restaurants have a digital site. If you go to you have DoorDash, everybody is morphing into this retail environment, and we need to morph as well, and that's why we're calling this face of the dealership. Here are the key elements when we look at websites. The first thing we see is dealer information and banners. That has to be a critical element. You have competitive pricing. You have to have coupons. You have to offer service financing and prepaid maintenance. And I'm not talking about offering just Sunbit. You can use whatever tool you have. Sunbit is somebody that Kia has used with the 0% 90 days. So, but anybody that you have, whether it's Dignify or Sunbit or any other, you have to have that offer out on your website. And you also have to have a system of offering prepaid maintenance to customers as well. Your service reservations have to be part of your digital retail environment as well, where that's what it just used to be, is service reservations. And we're going to jump into all these details in just a couple minutes. You have to have a check-in process, whether that is an in-person check-in process or an online check-in process. With the minimization of face-to-face contact with consumers, you have to have an online process. And we have some couple solutions as well and some best practices as well. We have the online store. Your website must be an online store. It has to include faceless transactions with it. And then finally, pop-ups, friendly photos, and chat bots. You have to have the chat bot every step of the way. And then finally, best practices. We'll cover those too as well, what we've collected from all around our district manager counterparts from around the country who've been collecting best practices the last 3 weeks. So moving forward. So after sales digital transformation and what we're looking at, we must promote with the consumers that we are open. We must have something on the website that says we are sanitizing, what sanitizing actions we're taking. We must talk about how we're using CDC guidelines and customer safety. You have to have banners that promote you as a dealership, and I've got a couple examples coming up here. Why choose your dealership? What makes you different than the competition? Do you have concierge offering, convenience offerings such as concierge, rideshare, loaners? Are you promoting community awareness? Several East Coast dealers decided to run free oil changes for healthcare workers. Very powerful tool on their website, and that gains momentum from a standpoint of people guerrilla marketing and telling everybody and telling their friends. And that's another way to do it. You have to promote the digital communication methods such as two-way texting, service trackers, and video NPIs. And again, going back to the frictionless service processes. When you get to open and safe, do you present a message about how you're handling COVID-19 and what you've done? We have dealerships, and you can see the examples that we've got on the screen. These are links from the main page. It's an amazing way to do it, that you take a dealership, it has this sanitization right on the main banner when you walk in. Then you've got other dealerships that are offering consumer tips on proper interior cleaning. If they can't come see you for the free one, what can they do in the interim to keep their vehicle clean if they have to go out to a grocery store or visit a dealership? Offer consumers information on how you clean the vehicles before and after service. You have to really develop that process of what's being done. It has to be a clear communication path, like Rhett mentioned before, is taking it out and over-communicating with the consumer. Next thing is, why choose your dealership? What makes you stand out from our competitors? And what is your value proposition? Is it concierge service? Is it curbside check-in? Is it online check-in? Is it all of those services? Again, from the main page. I know we're used to having sales information on there saying, here's this great deal on a vehicle, but you know what? They're going to be shopping service probably more than they will sales to start off with, and that's what we've seen with NADA, or the J.D. Powers webinar that we participated in yesterday. Again, stay home, stay safe, pick up and drop off service available. Another example is schedule your appointment online and we'll come pick up your car by appointment. All these services are available to consumers, that you have to make them available to consumers. And then moving into the frictionless processes, the goal obviously is to minimize a face-to-face contact. You have to introduce the consumer to your new normal, all the steps from appointment to delivery. You have and this is actually really cool, a video presentation that I got an example here. Is you can see that this video plays for consumers so they can see everything that's done on a digital NPI. A very unique tool that a dealership in Des Moines, Iowa started using, and it has been well received. Down here you have a dealer that has Go Moto. That's Tony Darple down at Jake Sweeney Kia. And that's an example that he posted on Facebook of how you can use a faceless system to check customers in, or they can check themselves in. And then you've got dealer principals that are sending video messages to consumers. So you have to provide a step-by-step recap of how you operate. Again, communication is key. You have to maximize the use of customers' preferred method of contact, and then keep open lines of communication, whether it's texting, programs, FaceTime, Zoom, email, you name it. You have to keep your communication paths open and include the customer in your process. And then moving forward with competitive pricing and transparency. This absolutely has to be key. You have to have pricing on there, whether you're scheduling your service. While you're scheduling it, you see pricing, and offer service repair financing, as I mentioned before, all the way through the steps that the customer can see. Excuse me. So you can see that the examples we've got up here are both parts and service coupons, as well as parts and service pricing that are apparent. You have to be transparent with your customers. Customers will pay more to be safe and have a service that they can be assured of will be done professionally. And that's what transparency is about when it comes to pricing. And we even have dealers that say transparent pricing on their website. So it's important that we're open and honest with the customer and communicating as well. And on to my counterpart, I want to introduce Jerry O'Sullivan. Jerry is my counterpart that covers the west side of our region. And Jerry, please take it away.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. Walter touched on it with the agenda regarding service reservation. In the past, there was a very basic tool that was used on the website, or it was done by phone. Right now, your online service schedule is key. You have to make sure that your availability matches the capacity of write-up and technicians. Walter touched on promoting customer and employee safety. Are you staggering customer arrivals if you're still allowing them to wait in your waiting room? Are you staggering customer arrivals so that we can spend the right amount of time with them at write-up to make sure we get all the information? It's critical that your appointment system online is not a request system. Customers will not likely try to make an appointment if they have to add all information and at the end they're not sure whether or not they've gotten an appointment. This is no different than if you were to try to order something online, let's say takeout. And once you got through to check out, you had no idea whether or not they were going to be able to deliver it today. So this is the same thing. It needs to be transparent, but it needs to be predictive. Service pricing by vehicle. Nobody buys anything online these days without a price. I think Amazon has taught us all that. So we need to make sure that we are transparent and communicating ahead of the time what the price of the select services are. Ease of collecting the customer information. If the customer's never been to your dealership before, is it easy enough for them to still make an appointment without having to enter all information like a vehicle ID and such? Does your reservation system provide the opportunity to show open campaigns where possible? Full visibility to your suggested maintenance schedules. Service history review. All these things are critical to not only your team, but also the customers that are making appointments. Are you setting the standards? Collecting the information to process? Are you offering pickup and delivery? Alternate transportation? All this needs to be customer-facing at the beginning of the website. It cannot be hidden in your reservation system so that you hope they don't take advantage of it. I think all of us are aware that there are customers right now walking around that they don't care. They don't really believe that there's anything going on. They don't have masks on. They don't have gloves on. But there's other customers out there that are frightened to leave their home. We need to make sure that they understand we appreciate that and we're here for them. And follow up with the customer to confirm what their preferred method of communication. How do they want us to communicate? Is it via text? Are they going to be home? Are they working from home but won't be available? Is it, as Walter touched on with the video MPI, are you sending an electronic version of the MPI so you can do a complete customer update? Next. The check-in process. Whether it's pick up with respect to online check-in process, Generation Kia added a homepage pop-up video from the owner. And it's a clear message how they're operating both sales and service to flatten the curve and offering customer pickup and delivery services right on the homepage. What process do you offer customers? Maybe it's not pickup and delivery, but maybe it's an individual shuttle. Maybe it's alternate transportation. Anything to ease the customer's concerns is critical. And then at drop-off, do you have all the information? I know we've provided a recommended online check-in process that allows the customer to fill out all the information they need and then come in and drop that off at the vehicle and leave. We're all aware of the updated bulletin not requiring a customer's signature, provided the service manager signs the repair order. So we can alleviate a lot of customers' concerns by following a true touchless drop-off process. And then on your website, does it promote the no-contact delivery? Does it promote no-contact service and maintenance? Are your hours of operation updated to match your capacity? Next. As Walter touched on before, your website has to be also an online store. Customers are not, they're not perusing through your dealership these days. So it's critical that your online store presents everything you offer, from accessories that may be overlooked because customers aren't coming to the dealership to shop for their vehicle. That is being provided touchless. So how are we capitalizing on the opportunity to still sell accessories? Your tire store. We're still in the midst of a buy three, get one. Do your customers know that you sell tires? Can they order tires ahead of time if that's what they want to do to make sure that the tires are there for their visit? If you have express service and it's in and out, are you promoting that on your website? Easing, again, the customer's concerns so that if they are going to spend time at the dealership, that it won't be any longer than they need to be there. And then parts. There's still a significant amount of people that are, because they're spending time at home, that want to do it themselves. I think you can see it when, if anybody goes out and sees the Home Depots or the Lowe's, there's lines to get into those stores. I was at my local Home Depot. They ran out of the bare paint because there's so many people that are doing things around their house and on their own these days. So promote that on your website that you sell parts. Next, Walter. And then pop-ups, friendly photos, and chatbot. The pop-ups need to be value-add. So it's not a matter of, you're on the service page and then you get a pop-up about a lease payment special. They need to be value-added, a surprise coupon. And please make sure that if you do have a chatbot, that these individuals are prepared to assist in fixed operations as well as sales. I think we can all agree that if we have a chatbot and it's nothing more than trying to set an appointment for sales and they're on your fixed operations page, that may just drive customers away. So we want to make sure that the individuals that are managing the chatbot are up to speed with what they need to do to facilitate any questions regarding fixed operations. Do you have people of your staff, pictures of your staff? Customers want to be reassured that when they get to the dealership, they know somebody. And having a friendly face on the website. Maybe they've forgotten the individual's name, but they recall the face, and that's who they want to set an appointment with. I think everybody that really is loyal to the dealership has their guy or girl that they want to deal with. So let's make sure they understand who they're going to be communicating with when they get to the dealership. Again, it's fully transparent. And then anything else on the dealership? Can they place a call? Can they ask a text a question? Can they send an email and get a response? Next. And then some after sales best practices. Make sure that if you haven't done so, that you have a banner on your dealer website showing what changes you've made. And please don't allow it to be hidden. Don't allow that the customer has to click on a box in order for it to open up. Make it on your home page, and when they click on your service landing page, what are you doing in your service drive to make your customers and employees safer? Utilize your open service campaign and in-stock service list right now. You may be having less customer pay repair orders, but there's still vehicles in your inventory that have open campaigns of service actions. Now's the time to get that taken care of. You may have some local new car dealers and used car dealers in your area that has a Kia in inventory that has an open campaign of service action. Are we mining that data? And then call customers for arrange pickup and delivery. Let them know that you're there for them. Establish that touchless customer curbside process for service and parts pickup too. If they're buying parts, don't make them come into the dealership. Have a process where they can notify the parts department that they're there, and we can run it out. Have your online check-in form, and then take a look at any customer declined services from the past 45 to 60 days. Let them know that you're open for business. Also remind them that if you have that finance source, that you can promote it. What better time than now to get the needed repairs? Next, Walter. And again, recommendations. You must develop a complete digital retail strategy and service. It has to happen. You have to become that value proposition for your customers, because that pie of their available funds has shrunk and is getting smaller in the short term. How are we going to get a bigger piece of a smaller pie? We want to minimize the face-to-face interactions and sell the cleanliness of your dealership. Updates to the new website templates. We have Kia recommended templates. We probably have almost 260 stores in the country that are utilizing the Kia recommended website template. It doesn't cost any money, but it is seamless, tried and true. Make service scheduling easy and include the customer in the process. Get with your DPSM. They have a lot of best practices that they're seeing from not just their district or the region, but from around the country. The amount of time that we're spending working from home, we are doing nothing but truly working together with our other DPSMs throughout the country to collect best practices. And we want to make sure that you update your schedules to include that pickup and drop-off option during the appointment process. All of the dealers on the call have signed up for the AGCCC, or Accelerate Good to Customer Care. We've offered funds to offset some of the expenses for this, so let's make sure that we're taking advantage of it. And then you want to mine your database for those recommended services and promoting the service finance so that anybody that is looking for discounts keeps you busy. And as Rhett mentioned before and Walter touched on again, over-communicate. No relationship has ever been lost because somebody over-communicated. And we have the largest opportunity in business today. And I think these recommendations can really assist you in revenue generation. Next. Again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, to text Jack Sparling and email your questions to Steve Rupert. And I'll turn it over to Walter, and we'll open it up for a question and answer.
I don't think we have any email questions. Jack, do we have any text message questions that have come up? Hang on one second. Let me unlock you or unmute you, sorry. Make sure we're on the same page. Good morning, Jack. Any text message questions that have come in? Jack, you there? Sorry. There we go. I don't know if we have any questions.
Well, I think
anything that's come up.
If anybody does come up with questions after they've had a little bit of time to digest the information, just email your DPSM, and we'll do our best to get you the information.
Absolutely, absolutely, Jerry. Before we conclude, I want to present our next series of webinars that we've got coming up. Well, today we talked about our first webinar, which was the face of the dealership and the website and the recommendations and things that we've been seeing. We are going to go into a lot more detail on the next 4 webinars. First one being vehicle arrival, write-up, and repair processes. That's on the 23rd. On the 30th, we'll jump into the selling process, progress updates, and quality assurance in this new digital retail environment. Then on the 7th, we'll talk about cashiering, redelivery, and post-repair follow-up. That way, post-repair for asking for additional retail sales from recommendations. And also on the 14th will be service marketing. We'll cover how to market to consumers. We'll talk about accessories and what needs to be done on accessories, both from a digital aspect as well as the sales to service handoff process, which is key. I know we have a couple dealers that are investigating doing a online digital webinar for new customers to explain how service departments work, live webinars. So much like what we're doing here, they're doing it for new customers. Then you have the service to sales handoff process too. There's another element that we've overlooked for years, and that is getting new vehicle sales from the service department and being able to identify those consumers that could use a new vehicle since you have them in for service and the leads aren't walking in the door like they used to. So we need those elements again to push that revenue stream through the dealerships. And unless Jack or Steve, do we have any questions that have come up between now and then?
Yes, I'm unmuted now. I apologize for the delay, but
That's okay.
I have a question from Ivana Hartzell, and it's about model-specific menus. Does he plan to offer any editable menu for dealer use? Maybe something like the accessory app.
As a matter of fact, we are investigating a digital element. We don't have it developed yet. We've talked to National about it, and that is being investigated right now as far as accessories. So you mean a true digital element? No, we don't have that yet, but we are investigating. We do have the website link for the accessory brochures and guides that are there already for consumers to see, but as we all know, the take rate that we see on the digital side of that is very low. Now that we've moved into this environment, I would hope that we have the proper pricing, that we have the right menu selections for consumers to look at. That's, at least in the interim, until something digitally is produced where it's vehicle specific, that the websites are updated with the most current information for accessories. Anything else?
That's all I have. Nope, that's it.
Beautiful, and I appreciate that. And Ivana, thanks for asking that question. And like Jerry mentioned before, if anybody has any questions whatsoever, feel free to bounce those to your DPSM, and we'll make sure to get those out to the entire group. We've got a list of everybody that's been on the call today. And if there are no other questions, Jerry and I would like to say thank you very much for participating, and we look forward to, we have another one this afternoon, exact same webinar, and we appreciate it. If there are no questions, everyone have a good day.
Thanks for everything you're doing. Be safe out there.